Hello, Future Bestsellers. Oh my gosh, we're finally back. I am so happy to see you guys. Sorry, we were just talking about how we may possibly be jinxed. And at least Robert and I, because of what's happened to us in July and August. And literally, just as we went up, StreamYard said, we're having trouble streaming to Facebook. This may be an issue on Facebook's end. So yeah, okay. Anyway, so that just popped open. Yeah, so who knows? It could just be us. Michael is here. Hi, Michael. We're so glad to see you. This is how we know, like, these are the hardcore people that after COVID and hurricanes and Robert's car disaster and the universe basically putting targets on all of our heads, except for Michelle. She's the good one. Let's try to remember that. She's the good one.
Nervous though.
We're not. Robert and I are taking all of it just for you guys. Yeah, we're like a lightning rod this week for disaster. Not this week, like the last 2 months for disaster. September is going to be okay though.
Yes.
Whereas we got a brand new month. Clean slate. Yep. So, Michael, we are super glad that you are here. Mary Putnam is here. Hello. I am super glad to see you. This is great. I'm so glad you're here. And Daisy's here. Yay! We miss you too, Daisy. Oh my gosh. Very nice. Horror Geek. I am going to come over there and kick your butt. Bring me an orange juice, would you? No, I'm kidding. Devin's here. Devin's here. The Horror Geek. Let me just tell you about the Horror Geek, you guys. This is how you know you have true love. Because he got COVID first. And so when he was, and it took like, I don't know, another 4 or 5 days before I got it after him. And he had to be sick by himself. Like we quarantined him in the bedroom and like try to keep him away from everybody else because we didn't want everybody to get sick. But when I was in there, he already still had it. I don't think he was positive anymore. Or he might have been, but he came in there and like stayed with me in my little quarantine zone and watched 700 episodes of Catfish on MTV with me, which I have to recommend. If you're ill, Catfish is the way to go. So it's the kind of show you can sleep through. It's the same every week. So yeah, anyway, Devin's here. Hello. So glad to see you. JC, we remember you too. Thank you so much for being here today. I know how to get you, buddy. All right. So what have you guys been working on since we last saw each other, which I believe was in July?
It's been, a lot.
Yeah. What have you been up to, Michelle? And what are you working on now?
Well, I just yesterday finished the first draft of the Rebel Girls nonfiction book that I got. It was a quick one. That was like my big focus. So that was the big one. And today I'm working on a ghostwriting client thing.
Oh, well, good for you. Nice. Very nice. How about you, Robert? What have you been working on?
Well, after I finished the last draft of my novel, I decided to take some time off. So I took off 2 or 3 weeks, fending off the bad luck and working on an outline for my craft book. And now I'm about 8,000 words into my craft book. So
yay! Fantastic. I did have one day where I was like still sick with COVID, but like one thing. No, you had it when you know. Did you notice that like you have a day where you like feel like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be fine. Like I can feel I'm feeling better, and then the next day you're like the worst you've ever been. I had that. There was one day where I was sort of feeling better, and I was trying to catch up on like client projects, and so the entire universe did not collapse on itself. And I had an idea for a nonfiction project that I'm super excited about. So what is the dog doing to the sofa? So he likes to a lot of Havanese are like this. They like to kind of like make a nest. And normally there's like a blanket or other pillows or whatever. So yeah, that's what he does. Yeah. Oh, there you go. All right. Fantastic. Horror Geek has some helpful advice for Mary. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Please tell Dave I hope he feels better. Yeah, that's a bad one. There is a new show The other thing that I watched in my post-COVID recovery was Suits, which I never watched that before. Had you guys ever seen that? That's the one
No.
with Meghan
No,
Markle,
I've seen it,
lawyers.
but,
Yeah, that is also a good thing to nap through because because it's like there's like a case of the weeks, but and then
Mm.
a bigger story arc. But one of the things that's helpful about something like that is if you sleep through a couple of episodes, you're fine to just catch back up where you are.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So that is my COVID TV watching. Please tell Dave that I hope he feels better. I am so sorry.
yeah.
That sucks. You really can't. I mean, it just sucks. It just is the worst. Anyway, you guys, I'm so happy that you came back. Let us do some writing today. We are going to get rolling with a 5-minute sprint. Let me get this up on the timer. Oh, I have 1,000 windows open. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and do our first 5-minute warm-up sprint. Let us know in the chat what you guys are planning on working on today. So here we go. 3, All right, we are back. So glad to see you guys. Oh, sorry, you guys can't hear this now, but the timer just went back on, and I heard that like do 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 do, which always throws me off when I'm God, I'm sorry, brain fog is real, people. So if I lose what I was going to say 87 times today, please forgive me. Yeah. Okay, Vicky is in a rut. By the way, welcome, Vicky. We are super, super glad to see you today. I'm in a rut. Can someone give me a random goal? Going to do some exercises. All right, Vicky, are you in a rut for to try and write fiction or non-fiction? I want to give you like a specific random goal. So, are you trying to write fiction right now or nonfiction? And if you can share what your rut is about, like what sort of triggered the rut. Sometimes we don't know, but sometimes you know exactly what it is. Then we can see if we can give you some random
she gets these
targeted.
story goals, so I'm thinking fiction.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. But okay, story goal, not like take out the trash. Oh, okay. So I love this kind of thing because there are so many ways to go. It's not in here, it's in my other room. I have a little Rolodex, like an old school Rolodex that is just full of like random shit that could happen. So like it can be like, oh no, you think your partner is cheating. Oh no, someone just died. Oh no, like just random stuff that can happen. So story goal is interesting because we don't really know what the main gist of the story is. Well, I guess she doesn't either. Are you missing like the big story goal or sort of a like smaller scene goal? So let us know that. Mary says increase the tension, kill someone. That's true in real life too. No, I'm kidding. Okay, fiction. There we go. Very, very nice. Yeah, so let us know if you have the big goal and maybe what the genre is, and we'll do like a quickie brainstorming here, which I feel like might be really, really fun.
Yeah,
So
I spent a lot of time last year trying to come up with ways to get out of a rut that I was in. And what eventually worked is I just changed my writing keyboard and everything around and worked on a different device. But in thinking about all these different things and what causes those ruts is we're stuck with something that's not working in the foundation of our story. And to get moving again, often there's this trick of the mind that gets you going. And these writing prompts can help with a warm up. But I find that if you don't have as many specific goals and put as much pressure on yourself, you're just sitting down with the intention of just getting as much out of your writing session as possible. Then pick a random goal and start writing for 15 minutes to get you going, and then hop back in and just let your mind start rolling on it. And usually something will come up that's good. You might spew trash for like an hour, but you'll
don't
find
we all at some points? That is excellent advice. For those of you guys who have not seen Vicky's comment, they're working on a big concept for sci-fi fantasy. It's gotten pretty hard to tackle. Never finished anything so big, so I haven't written in a while. Okay, so I love this idea, and it can be hard to have a really big project. It can feel really unwieldy. And fantasy in particular, because you have all that, in sci-fi fantasy, because you have all that world building that you have to do. So one more thing about this question that I have. So you said that it's big, it's pretty hard to tackle. Do you mean like the plotting of it is pretty hard to tackle, or the writing is pretty hard to tackle? So that's my first question. Second, are you planning this as a series? And are you is your challenge your big series goal, or is it just the goal in the individual book? So that's my other question. Oh, here we go. Main character is on a journey to realize she's working for the bad guys. Think Empire, and she's the best stormtrooper, right? She just thinks she's getting a great job out of college, but then she finds out that she's working for the devil. Oh, that's like that movie with Keanu Reeves and oh God, Horror Geek. Where are you when I need you? Keanu Reeves and I think like Robert De Niro or Al Pacino. I think it was Al Pacino. And he gets this job. There's all this money, blah, blah, blah. But it turns out he's working for the devil.
Yeah,
and
I can't name of that either. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that feels like, so it feels like you have a good handle on that. So what'd you say?
The devil's advocate.
The Devil's Advocate.
Yeah.
Right. What is the most obvious title ever? And anyway, literally the most you like. Yeah. So her goal is to find her old partner who betrayed her and joined the rebellion. Okay. Oh, okay, perfect. So her bestie is has joined the rebellion. She's working for the bad guys, and so her goal, like for the story, is obviously going to be to join the rebellion and strike a major blow against the empire. Am I right? Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? We want her, she wants to get away from so she either becomes a spy for the rebellion and works from within to dismantle the empire. So that's a possibility. Is this going to be a series, or is it going to be or is it just a single book?
It would also, I can't remember if she said how far into it she is. I'm
That's
gonna
the
look.
question. How far? So I want her to realize she sucks and join the rebels instead.
She said, I'm working on a big concept. So that to me sounds like we're still in the planning phase.
Mhm.
But maybe I'm guessing.
Well, she also says she's struggling with the writing.
Okay. We need more.
We do. Do you have questions, Michelle?
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, to what Robert said, even if I don't know, if she's in the beginning of this, it just does get to feel overwhelming and huge when you're planning a series. And maybe your first goal, again, I don't know where you are in the process, but is like, come up with a specific beat that has to happen, like the catalyst or whatever, and just focus on that. Like, make that your goal right now and your only goal right now, and don't think about the end of the book, or God forbid the end of the series, because the weight of that is going to crush you.
Yeah.
Struggling with the writing because the planning phase isn't quite as refined as you need it to be or want it to be, and there's gaps in there that mentally you're struggling with and can't quite overcome. So I would say watch those movies, watch Devil's Advocate, jot down some notes, whatever comes to mind.
The Firm is a good one. The John Grisham book/movie. That's another sort of example of, so you want her to join the rebellion. Do you want her to literally leave the empire to join the rebellion? And what is she taking with her to provide value to the rebellion? I mean, she could show up on their doorstep and just say, I'm here. I used to be a stormtrooper and I'd really love to help out. You guys need anybody to make copies? But right, she could do that, or she could bring something valuable with her that's going to put her in danger to acquire. And maybe she works out some deal with the not ex-best friend, but with the former partner who's working for the rebellion. And the two of them, one from the outside, her from the inside, work this out. And then she takes this jewel of whatever to the rebellion, and they have one final battle. Ooh, okay. So Eva says the empire left her for dead. Vicky's like, I'm writing it as if it's one story, but if it ends up bigger, I'm all for it. I love revision. I'm terrible at the nitty gritty drafting.
I've said this before, but I'll kind of add to it a bit, because I'm the kind of person that usually has too many ideas or too big of an idea when I start. And I have a lot of stuff going through my head. We all do, because we all watch a lot of movies, we read a lot of books, and the cliched stuff that's really out there that we see all the time is what's sitting on the top of our head.
Right.
Write those things down. Just keep writing down ideas and get all those bad ideas down on paper, because once you write them down, your mind doesn't spiral on them as much.
That's
and you might
true.
write 15, 20 ideas, and then all of a sudden it'll slow down. You'll be writing fast at first, and then you'll have to think for a minute. Once it takes you more than a couple of minutes to come up with the next idea, then you've got yourself clear. And it might be an hour later when you're taking a walk, or it might be a day later, suddenly the fresh idea hits. That's usually a way to get out of your own way.
Yeah. In particular, walking is great because that really spurs creativity. One of the things that you just mentioned, though, about making a list of all of the ideas, including the terrible ones, is so great, because our minds do spiral, like just keep ruminating on these things that we haven't resolved yet. This is the same thing if I ever have like an early morning flight. I will grind away in my brain about like, oh, did I remember to pack this? Did I remember to pack this? And the thing that makes that stop is making a list, basically writing down all the stuff I'm going to need as I think about it. So my brain doesn't keep going like, we have to remember this. We have to remember this. We have to remember this. So I think
writing it down is like you're taking action on it. So now it's not bothering you as much or plaguing your brain. So you've already acted on that. You've got it down. You got it out of your head. You move on to the next thing. So getting the bad ideas down first is the best idea because they're all cliched stuff anyway.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes if you have challenges with, you know, sort of the big overall story, it can help to do like a fast dialogue draft. So instead of worrying about all the detail or whatever it is that's sort of getting you stuck, go to something else that's easier. So, and dialogue is great because that actually kind of helps to propel the story, but it can also be a great space for discovery as far as how you want to tell the story, developing the characters. And it doesn't feel as overwhelming if it's just dialogue. So what you might do is try writing dialogue, especially for some pivotal scenes, right? Scene like when she realizes that her friend, her ex-partner is working for the rebellion, and like how that happens, whether she's talking to someone else about it or talking to the friend. And then like some other scenes going forward, just write a couple of just like don't do anything else, just write the dialogue in between them. And that can help a lot to sort of help you kind of open things out. I hope that helps. So that's my piece of advice. If you follow the other stuff, the other question I wanted to know is whether or not you were a plotter or a pantser, because I think that can help as well. You might, if you're one or the other, you might be stuck in some of the common areas where plotters get stuck or pantsers get stuck. So let us know that, and we'll come back and see if we've got some other advice for you. All right, Daniel, this is such a great question. We are going to quickly do not quickly. It's going to be a 20-minute sprint. And when we guys, I told you the brain fog's terrible. We're going to do a 20-minute sprint. And when we come back, we are going to answer Daniel's question. Regina, we're super glad that you are here. All right. So Donna Marie. Oh, good. Donna Marie has asked the question I would have asked next, which is, Daniel, what do you write? And Daniel has got an answer for us. So be thinking about Daniel's question, everybody. All right, here we go. So let me get that 20-minute sprint, which of course I have not done. All right, here we go. Dun, dun, dun. All right, now I've got it. Okay, everybody, we're going to put 20 minutes up on the clock and write like the wind. Also, tell us what you're working on today if you haven't already. All right, we are back. Let me go ahead and get rid of this banner. All right, fantastic. So we had a great question from Daniel. I'm going to hop back over to that. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so Daniel is querying a middle grade epic fantasy with two separate story threads that merge at the midpoint. It's about kids with interesting magical abilities having trouble keeping them on track in check. Can't speak. So Daniel is querying Distel, Godric, and Beret. I think is how you say that, but I'm not sure. I think so too. It makes sense because I think they're a Canadian agency, so Beret would be French, I think. So hard to decide between Jim McCarthy and Michael Beret. Do we have any thoughts? So I do have thoughts.
Okay, let's hear them.
Let's share the screen, shall we? Oh, all right. Hold on. Here we go. So here is our guy, Michael. He is a named partner. And I think I mentioned I've been watching Suits. And I don't know if you guys know this, but that is the most important thing in the universe is becoming a named partner at your firm. So I love this. I went under Meet Our Team to look at Michael, and he talks a lot about sort of what he wants. He has a big career and has repped a lot of awesome books. But one of the things that's really cool here is that says that Michael would like to see more middle grade fiction, Daniel, and nonfiction as well as graphic novels. So that gives us like a really good hint about what he's looking for. And then if we go back and look at our other contestant, Jim McCarthy, also great reputation, excellent agent. He looks like a nice agent too, doesn't he? He looks like somebody who would keep all the bad comments away from you. Right? He looks like a sweet guy. Okay. So, and one thing that's kind of cool is they have a little query manager here, which is nice because then you can sort of see what's going on, usually speaking. So, what does Jim want to see? Jim wants to see more children's nonfiction. So, for me, I go, okay, that's like one vote for our buddy, Mr. Beret, Michael, because he is specifically looking for the kind of book that you are writing. So I'm curious as to what it is before I just go blathering on and before everybody else jumps in. What is it that you are liking or concerned about with each of those agents, Daniel? Do you guys have thoughts?
Yes.
Oh, good. Hold on. I'm going to take down the comments so that it's not covering up your head. Okay, go ahead.
The other thing I would do, and he might have already done this, is somebody suggested checking Query Tracker because that can be more up to date than the website as far as like what they're looking for. I also go into Publishers Marketplace and I search the agent to see their most recent deals, because if one of them just sold something that sounds anything like what you're working on, then you want to query the other guy. But just a word of reassurance, most agents at agencies like this, they communicate a lot. If you choose one and it's better suited to the other, he's going to pass it over.
He'll just pass it along.
They talk and they,
right.
If he reads something and he's like, holy crap, this is amazing, but it's not, from my list because of this, he's going to send it over to the other guy.
Right. That's absolutely true. The other thing that I would say is that I know some authors would be nervous to query Michael here because he is a named partner at the agency and the other guy is not, right? But I would say you should do the reverse. If they were completely even and you were like, that's it, I've weighed my pros and cons, they each have a score of 100.7 on my tracker checklist, I've done everything, that I would actually go for the higher ranking partner because one, he'll definitely pass it along if he likes the work and thinks it's something they want to represent. And the other thing is that people often shoot for the middle because they think the competition will be too high at the top, when actually the reverse is true. So everybody shoots for the middle. So if everything else comes out even, I would say shoot for the top. Robert, what say you on this exciting manner?
The thing about both of these guys is they don't look like they're overly egotistical. They both look like they're fairly intelligent, normal, decent people.
Yeah.
I would also say when you're querying, or even if you're self-publishing, There are some great videos on this subject by John Truby on YouTube. Go look him up. He says that people aren't buying stories for the sake of, we're always mixing genre, but he says most of us are writing in the wrong genre. People, agents, publishers, Hollywood, they're buying genres, not stories. So you need to get specific with your genre. Like some people write a fantasy and there's a strong love story, and that becomes almost dominant. And you should be writing it more in the beats of a romance with fantasy.
Mm.
And don't write in Save the Cat vein. Get this book.
Wait, hold on.
Ooh,
Let me set
cool.
the screen. I know, right?
I need to get this.
This has the beats to every genre outside of Save the Cat, 3-act beginner structure.
Michelle is going to Amazon right now.
About them very much in depth. This is a must-have book for everybody.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you,
Here, I'm
Robert.
typing
We can always count on Robert for extra awesome craft books, can't
Yes.
we? All right. So I will drop a link to the Anatomy of Genre in the description sometime during or after the stream, but I'll try and get that for you guys quickly.
14 different genres, beats for all of them. And
Yeah.
we're on a professional level, not Save the Cat, sell you a grid.
Woo! Daniel's got on my list has a lot of YA and a lot of fantasy. I'm always looking at those spaces to that. Oh, we already did that one. Yes. He says, exactly, Robert. Yes. Vicky has been looking for this. Oh, Vicky, that might be a really good help for you, right?
I was going to mention something like that for your question, but it applies to both, definitely.
That'll
help get you going.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and do another 20-minute sprint. When we come back, I want to unpack Vicky's plotting issue again, since she'd had a chance to answer a couple of our questions. Does anybody else have a question they want to ask Vicky before we come back and try and untangle her plot a little bit? Anybody? Okay. All right. Robert or Michelle will drop it in the chat if they have another question that they want to ask you before we come back and talk about that. Same is true for the rest of you all our lovely chatters. If you guys have a question that you want to ask Vicky, then we'll do that as well. Here we go. You are so welcome. We're so happy to help you. 1,000 great books. Hello. We are super, super glad you are here. Regina, just order my copy. Did I beat you?
I did it within like 10 seconds of Robert holding it up.
I would have
my Kindle app now.
I would have too. Well, you know me, I cannot let any craft book pass me by. So when Robert finally releases his craft book, we are having craft book a palooza. We're gonna have a big party because when the king of craft books writes a craft book. This is a craft book I need.
And more proper definitions for things. It's coming here. So we're gonna shoot past all the bullshit and get to some actual craft.
Shoot past. That's our new slogan for our that's our new slogan for our stream. We're just gonna shoot past the bullshit. Okay. All right, you guys, let me go ahead and get the beach timer up. Oops, it looks like I did not rewind it, apparently. There's me making a goofy freaking face. All right, here we go. Dun, dun, dun. All right, everybody, let's do our second 20-minute writing sprint of the day. 3, 2, 1, sprint. Right. Here we go. Oops, hold on. I still got Michelle muted for some reason. It does not want to unmute you,
I got
Michelle.
it.
There we go. All right, fantastic. Yay. All right. Thank you so much. Story Detective dropped a link to the book. Very, very nice. Super fantastic. Okay. So we had a question. I'm going to go back to Vicky. She's been looking for a genre book just like that. Fantastic. Okay, so we have some advice from everybody in the chat. You could try what I'm trying right now on slips of paper. I wrote out each character setting, key world building item, and scene that I want included in the story. I'm pulling out the slips at random and journaling, brainstorming, and writing bits of scene for each one, linearly. That's a hard word to say, just to get me moving in a less intimidating fashion. I think that is a really good strategy. Vicky's like, "Yep, I got that. Fantastic." So when I'm plotting, I use a strategy that that I learned about in a book that I cannot remember the name of, and I'm going to try very hard and track it down. I can tell you that the book was very sort of convoluted, and the workbook was fantastic. And I have talked about it before. I do not remember the name of it at this moment. Thank you, COVID brain. But but I will come up with it at some point. I'm sure I'll remember it right after the stream is over. I will come up with it, and I'll drop a link in the description below. So the gist of this very thick workbook is that in every scene, and this was something that was like when I was stuck with my first novel, made everything go and open up for me. So hopefully it will help you as well. So in every scene, your character, two things could happen all the way to the end of the book. One, either your character accomplishes their scene goal, which is so you have the big story arc, right? They have the big story goal, and all along the way, they have to do all of these little scene goals in order to reach the big goal. So if we're thinking about that asteroid movie with Ben Affleck that I cannot remember the name of, it's probably something obvious like The Asteroid, right? So
Armageddon.
yeah, okay, Armageddon. So the asteroid's coming. We know when it's going to hit. So now we have to go. So first we got get a bunch of oil drillers trained as astronauts. Then we got to do that. Well, no, first we find out that the asteroid is coming, and no one but a bunch of oil drillers can save the world. So there's that. And then we have to get the oil drillers at some point to figure out their personal crap, and also train as astronauts. And then we have to get them to the asteroid, and then with the drilling equipment, and there's some malfunction. So in every place along the way, there are smaller things that we have to do in order to get to the big story goal, which is to save the Earth from being turned into a giant fireball from this asteroid that's about to kick our butts. So the premise of this idea that I told you about in the craft book / workbook that for whatever reason is escaping me today is that in every scene, only two things can happen. One of two things can happen. Either number one, your protagonist accomplishes their scene goal, but they realize that the problem was much worse than they thought. So they succeed, but also they find out, oh, it's way worse than we thought. Or they fail their scene goal. And so now, of course, which makes everything bad, and then they have to go back to the drawing board. So essentially, all the way through the book, you're doing one of those two things every scene. And so I find that when I'm stuck, a lot of times those are the elements that I'm missing, because those sorts of failures are and challenges and goals are what drives your protagonist all the way through the end of the book. And so if you are stuck, a lot of times it's because you have your protagonist accomplishing things too easily, or there's not enough because there's not enough in their way, or you've just sort of meandered around like you're in the middle of the book. Anybody else have?
Might have been Story by Robert McKee.
I don't think it was Story. It was. I want to say it was by an agent. I'm thinking, yeah. I can't remember. I'm gonna try and track it down. But yeah, it was a great workbook. I did not love the book. I found the book to be a little convoluted. And the funny thing is, the agent whose book, Marshall, the Marshall Plan. My brain finally does work. Evan Marshall is the agent. He actually represents somebody I know, so I hope he doesn't hate me for saying this. I found the information to be phenomenal. I did not love the layout of the book, but I did love the layout of the workbook. So the Marshall Plan, I highly recommend it. All right, we've got so you guys have some advice for Vicky. Robert, Michelle, do you have anything else?
I was gonna see if Robert wanted to go first.
Well,
Robert's like, I gave you guys the book. I'm done for today.
Off what you were saying, yeah, every scene starts with the intention from the main character or the point of view character who's chief in the scene, and they want their goal in the scene, whatever it might be, to succeed. And like you said, they might succeed, but it's not what they expect. There's flips in there. That's what McKee talks about. Your story goal or the main character's goal kind of flips, and then they either get the opposite of what they want or they get what they want, and it's kind of like a false positive because it's not exactly as they planned.
Right.
Yeah, I have a good thing to piggyback on that, actually, because I always tend to focus more on plot than character at first. And so the piece of advice I heard about scenes that has always helped me the most, and it fits really well with what Robert and Lisa are both saying, is that what makes a scene is the change in your character's emotional state. If they feel the same at the beginning of the chapter as they do at the end, then the scene isn't done. Like something needs to happen that changes the way they're feeling. So
right.
And it's all trying to achieve that main goal or the underlying premise of the story by the time it gets to the end, because don't forget, before your character can achieve resolution, they have to resolve whatever is going on inside them to get past what's holding them back, because that's connected to the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing too is that I find that if you're having a hard time with your main character, it's often because you have not clearly defined motives for your antagonist. That if your antagonist is not, that you have not created yet enough depth for your antagonist, as other than them just being, evil, right? You have to figure out what their motivation is that contrasts or impacts or stops your main character's motivation. That having a poorly developed, and I don't want to say it like there's a skill flaw there, just like if I have not spent enough time yet developing my antagonist and trying to figure out like what is it that he or she wants, what are they trying to accomplish, that is again with the words that's stopping our main character. I'm gonna have to use like visual aids because the words are failing me today, but that can be a really helpful thing as you start thinking about what is it that is stopping your main character. And obviously your antagonist is big with that, but you don't want to just make them evil. You just want them to have conflicting goals. Anybody else? All right.
Yeah, back in the beginning, when I was first learning craft, Stein said, don't think of yourself as having a protagonist and antagonist. Think of yourself as having two protagonists. Truby says the same thing in his book. He says, don't think of your villain as a villain. You have two characters and their opponents. They have different points of view, and one may not be exactly honest, but they're both fighting for that same story goal.
Right. Or their own version of what their story goal is. I think the idea of looking at your protagonists and antagonists as two protagonists is a great idea, because the easy thing to do is just make our antagonists evil without giving them much depth for why. They're just evil. Exactly. They're just inherently evil. They have the evil cat and the evil lair, and they're just evil. And you're going to have a much richer, more interesting story if you create an antagonist that feels like a protagonist. I mean, obviously that you have, we have to root for our protagonist, but if you make them into a fuller person, a character that we can understand, even if their motives are, not what we would do, as long as they have reasons for how did they get to this point in their life. So that is something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the question I always ask myself is, what do they have in common? Because the best villains could almost be the hero, except at some point in their life they took a left turn when they should have turned
Right.
right.
I love that. I really love when you have an antagonist and a protagonist where you could side with either of them and there's no right answer. Like the reader is struggling along with the antagonist or the protagonist because I just go, oh my God, you guys, my brain.
Yeah, you want that empathy. I mean,
Thank
the
you.
villain could almost see what he can't see, but he does the wrong thing anyway, and you're just like, ah.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I probably shouldn't say that, huh? We're probably going to get like banned to some far corner of YouTube. So I hope you feel better, Heather. I'm so sad. I was supposed to do the Books to Read conference in Orlando, and not Books to Read. Orlando reads books, and I was excited because I think Heather was also going to be there, and ended up still being positive for the big C. So sorry, I've taken a dramatic left turn. I think that is excellent advice, Robert. I did not mean to go squirrel on you. Cats, squirrels. Yeah. Anyway. So let's go ahead and do our our next 20-minute sprint. And we're going to talk about this. Vicky, oh, she's got some good advice here. Vicky said, really, yes, mine happened to already be like that. Okay, that's good. But if I tried telling any of it from his perspective, maybe what I'm stuck on is that the story doesn't begin with her. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other half of your story, so maybe that's the half that's giving you trouble.
Vicky, I'm excited because I feel like we had a little breakthrough there.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. At least some place to go to kind of get you moving again. So nice work. All right. Good job. Dirty White Boys, alternating POVs where you cheer for both. I had the same thing with Emily Giffen's. She didn't do this in one book. She did it in two books. She did in Something Borrowed, which was her first one. You find yourself really rooting for the main character to steal her best friend's fiance, because the author, Emily Giffin, does such a great job of convincing you that they were really meant to be together, and she saw her first, and blah, blah, blah. And and by the end of the book, like, you really don't care for the fiance, the best friend / fiance, and you're rooting for these cheating couple to get together. And then the next book is from the fiance's point of view, like, now, okay, she's lost her fiance, that it's from her. So you hated her the whole time, and then in the next book, now you see her story, and you really engage and want her to have her happy ending. So it really, like, as you feel it happening in the second book as a reader, you're like, oh, I can't believe I hated her. I can't believe I like her now. And and it's just that perspective shift. So you can definitely do that. And you don't need to show necessarily, depending on whether you're writing in first person or third person and single point of view or alternate point of view, you don't necessarily need to be showing your antagonist point of view in order to accomplish that, but you're just going to have her act, or him act, in that way. And so with those little bits of information, you guys,
and all the superhero action movies and Hollywood blockbusters, villains get such short shrift most of the time, but
they do.
Probably the best example would be Thanos in those Avengers movies, because he is driven beyond driven, and you could almost see that he has a point, except he wants to kill half the population.
Right. But and the thing is, yeah, that's terrible. And you don't want your relatives to be one of the half. You don't want to be one of the half. And yet you can completely understand, like, well, the planet's about to poop out. And so like, theoretically, this would be helpful, but it wouldn't be very pleasant to experience.
No.
So, yeah, exactly. All right. It's such a good conversation today, you guys. All right. So we are going to get rolling with our third 20-minute sprint. I haven't even looked at what time it is. This will be our last sprint today, because it's 12:30 my time. All right, everybody, here we go. We're going to make this one count. Going to do some writing, some note taking. We're going to be thinking about our protagonists and antagonists. And here we go in 3. All right, we are back. Here we go. Let's go back to the comments. So, Sylvia, thank you so much. Sylvia said, "Welcome, Sylvia. We're very glad you're
Hi.
here. I don't write fiction. I don't quite know what you're talking about, but I love the company. It's 2 a.m. here in Adelaide, Australia."
Oh,
Thank you very much for being with here. Sometimes we talk about nonfiction, and you are welcome to ask any questions that you like. We're all pretty comfortable talking about both, so that's great. Sylvia says, "I mean, I love the company while I write my nonfiction article." All right, fantastic.
And even
Heather said, "Oh,
a lot of fiction techniques, so picking up a few things could help.
that's fantastic. That's fantastic." Heather made it to Orlando Reads Books, met some great people. Very nice. I know I did reach out to them and say, like, I would love to come back next year. I was so disappointed that I was not able to make it this year because of the COVID. Sylvia, we are super, super glad to see you here today. All right. So we had a little note earlier from Vicky, who said that we'd probably help. Hopefully, fingers crossed that we helped her. Gonna try everything. So that is a very good start. And who did we almost miss? Kanashi. Hello. We are super
hey.
glad to see you. Glad that you could make it for the last couple of minutes of this sprint. And Jen writes romance is here, and she says happy birthday to Heather. Heather, we had no idea it was your birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Very, very exciting. Angels here. Like, I feel like YouTube just like, holy smokes, they're actually streaming today, and just sent out a reminder at the very last second. Angel, we are super, super glad to see you here today. Purpose is currently on vacation, yet trying to finish my 16th novel this month. What? That is not this month. 16th novel. She's trying this month to finish her 16th novel. Surely it's not the 16th novel this month, because that would be one every
like every other day.
Well, not even that, because it's only the 6th.
Oh
So
my god. Oh yeah, this month. Oh my god. Yeah.
yeah. So well, even if she were saying like in the last 30 days, it would be it'd be one every other day. I'm pretty sure she just means she's finishing this month. Yeah, we got it. We're a little slow sometimes.
It's fine. It's all good.
Vixen's here. We are super, super glad to see you today, Vixen. Very nice. Let us know what you've been up to. Yeah, I think so. Before we go, because if anybody else is having brain fog like I am, or they came in late, which we did have some folks who came in after we were talking about this. Robert, would you please do me a favor and show that book, the genre book that you had mentioned earlier, so that everybody could see it? We were talking about this book a little earlier. There we go.
The comment section somewhere, but it talks about 14 different genres, gives story beats to all of them that go a bit beyond your typical 3-act structure, give you a paint by numbers grid, and talks about choosing the right genre, if you mix genres, and how to do it well. There's a wealth of information and useful stuff here.
That is fantastic.
I'm so excited to read that later.
I know. I am definitely going to be, you know me, I'm like completely addicted to craft books, but I am fascinated. This book sounds so good. And, Robert, if you're recommending it, I'm all on board, because I think every craft book you've ever recommended to me, I've been like, oh, this is great. So Shannon's like, love John Truby's books. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Vixen working on a map for my story. Ooh, I love, love, love that. Jen says that's what ghostwriting feels like sometimes. Paint by numbers, right? You're like, okay, I need one from column A, one for column B. Very, very nice. Absolutely fantastic. Well, you guys, I feel like this was such a great stream. If you have questions for our next stream, you can just hit me up on social media. I will actually be checking it from now on, now that I'm all better. And or you can, here we go. Here it is at the end, even though we're not currently doing a sprint. You can message me at yt@lisadaily.tv. So, all right. Or you can just come to the stream and pop your questions in there for sure. So what did you work on today? Because we never really got around to that. So what did you do today, Robert, during our sprints?
I'm actually working on a craft book that I just started, and working in a lot of this information we talked about. And really, it's about not only putting my own spin on some old saws, but actually some personal theories that I've had, and trying to get through a lot of the BS that's out there and the popular craft knowledge that doesn't really surface, and get to the truth of the matter.
The truth is good. The truth is
Detective
good. Very nice. All right, we're going to take 1,000 great books question really fast before we go. But Michelle, what'd you work on today?
I've just been proofreading the nonfiction that I finished yesterday because my brain was too fried at the end of the day to do the proofread.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I need to do it, and I'm about to send it to the editor, and off it goes. Hooray.
Very, very nice. That's awesome. I actually work on social media images because that was pretty much all my teeny tiny brain could handle today. My poor little addled brain. All right, let's answer this question for 1,000 great books. Is it okay to have sections in a story where 2 to 3 characters just talk and there's only dialogue with very little description? I think it depends on how you do it, but I would say, yeah, sure. That's what the scene calls for. Absolutely.
Yeah, it can be done. Going back to like Ed McBain's 87th Precinct books, he would have several pages of dialogue like that. But he was like an expert craftsman, and he set things up very well. So by the time you got to that dialogue, the dialogue was also written very well and kept you glued to the page. Interrupting a discussion that's really heated like that would just dampen.
It's not going to work. It's going to, it'll take the reader out.
So those are good examples if you check out some of those books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. That was a really great example of that. Angel, working on my first read through and edit notes on the very first rough draft I ever finished. What?
Nice.
All right, Angel, what you don't know is that when you have a major accomplishment, this is what you get on our show. That's for you, baby. Yay! Very nice. Okay, so this is the first time I wanted to come back to this book since July. I feel that very, very. We've all been there. So congratulations. That is absolutely fantastic. And I hope that you will come back next week and tell us how it's going. All right. Dun, dun, dun. You're welcome. Very, very nice. Ooh. Shannon says Jeff Elkins, the dialogue doctor, advocates for mostly dialogue. Well, of course he does. He's a dialogue doctor. But I totally agree. I think that you can really push a story forward with dialogue. And for me, that's one of my favorite things to write. So,
yeah. Even Stein used to say that the best novel is a lot of dialogue with as little as possible in between. But what you put in between has to be really effective.
Mm-hmm. But there are so many things that you can communicate with dialogue, or the movement around dialogue, that you hesitate before you speak, or you blurt something out, or a million other things. Like, there is so much that you can do with dialogue. So I am a big fan of dialogue, and especially really well-written dialogue. Shannon's been formatting books all day with Atticus, which is new to her. Let me say, I love Atticus. Love Atticus.
Never used it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's one of Dave Chesson's products, Kindlepreneur. Another thing I will drop a link to in the description below if you are not familiar. But I think the software is like $100 or $129. But like any of his other stuff, he does Publisher Rocket and a bunch of other ones. You pay once and he will update it until you die. I've had Publisher Rocket for like, I don't know, 12 years, since before when it was called Kindle Rocket, I think, or Kindle something. Anyway, it's absolutely fantastic. And you can really quickly and easily format your entire book all by yourself without paying somebody to do that.
Nice.
Jen's got a great comment. I think dialogue is a great idea over description. It covers a lot of bases. Very, very nice. Sylvia, also a big fan of Atticus. Yeah, it's wonderful. And you can use it for lots of other little things too. Like, I'll often format like newsletter magnets. So things that you're not necessarily going to publish, but you want to look like a book. Absolutely fantastic. All right. Before we go, let's do our outros really quickly. I am going to start with you, Michelle. Tell us a little about you and your fine channel.
Thank you, Lisa. My name is Michelle Schusterman. I'm a young adult and middle grade author, and my channel is Writing Workshops, Traditional Publishing Chat, and Writing Blogs.
Thank
you for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. As always, Robert, tell us a little about you and your awesome channel.
Well, my awesome channel is still on hiatus, but there is there is a lot of crap stuff there, including stuff about villains and putting together scenes. So that stuff is pretty universal for anybody that wants to go take a look at it. And the channel will be making a comeback when I'm ready, and certainly it'll be more in depth than ever because, hey, I got more in depth over the past couple years.
You've grown so much, Robert. You just get deeper and deeper. So I'm Lisa Daly. Thank you all so much for being here today. This was a really great return. We are generally here every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. And I'm sorry for the extended break. We had COVID and hurricanes and vacations. Oh my. So we will definitely be back next Wednesday. I am a hybrid author, traditionally published and indie published, of nonfiction and romantic comedies. So thank you all so much for being here. You guys are totally amazing. You made this stream super, super awesome. And we will definitely be back with you guys next week for a little more of that. Yay! All right, everybody. We will see you next time. Bye.
Everybody.